I'm requesting all of you to close your hands for the prayer. Om Shahana Vavatu Shahano Punaktu Shahubirjam Karuvabhai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Now it is over to Dipasri.
Thank you, sir. Sir, let me first have a few words about the course and the institute. Uh, like Ravindra Psychotherapy Research Institute Trust was initiated its journey on 1st July 2018. And within these 4 years, it has come across a long way. And this is a research-led, future-oriented school focused on developing a new generation of thought leaders. The new research institute is Virtual Research Institute, registered under Indian Trust Act 1882. Currently, this institute has many certified students. This institute is constantly engaged in dissemination of knowledge through short-term and long-term academic courses, internship, micro-internship, seminars, webinars, and workshops. Students are trained here by internal and external faculties. This institute always offers skill development courses for students and professionals under leadership of academic assistant and the Academic Council of Ravindric Psychotherapy Research Institute Trust. Plays a critical role in every academic activities and researches. Like many other beautiful courses, uh, recently have completed 6-month online certificate course on school psychology, and now we are having this training on writing activity-based training manual on school psychology. And in this course, the training manual's effectiveness, we have experienced that training manual's effectiveness depends on trainees take away from the training. So today is the 5th class of our this course, and last 4 class we have learned together many things regarding training manual. Like in first class we get orientation about Ravindric psychotherapy and Ravindric psychotherapy postulates. Then in second class we get chance to know what is training, what the methods, different methods of training, and how training manuals represent the methods of training and why it is important. Then types of training manual also we came to know. Then in next class we discuss about the steps of writing a training manual. What are the points we should keep in our mind while we are developing any training manual, whether it's activity based or not. And during that class, we also discussed the importance of including different activities in training methods so that it becomes more effective and it has its impact. Then fourth class of our was on school psychology. It was a brief orientation about school psychology and different components of school psychology. Within the short time of 1.5 hours, we just discuss about the major points. And as our course is focusing on the blended method of learning, it was guided to the students that how they can have more knowledge on those particular subjects. And today we will see that how they have learned about those topics, and we are here to learn from them. So Zeba and Shudeshna, 2 students of our this course, today they will present their topics of school psychology. We will focus more on how they are presenting, because our this course is on training manual. So we are expecting that they will give training to other people, and this is a practice session that they are having. So maybe as Sudeshna was not very familiar with the school psychology topic. Zeba has completed the course, but Sudeshna was not. So maybe there they can have some gap on understanding the subject, but we want to see how they present it, how they train us on this subject. Okay, so let's start. Zeba, will you present first?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Zeba, first introduce yourself. And before starting, I would like to thank that sir has make time to join our class. And thank you, Rituparna ma'am, that out of your super busy schedule, you managed to come us. And it's very motivating for every one of us. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
No, it's my pleasure, Debashree ma'am, to be present here. Work pressure is there. It's also understood, but it's okay. I'll try my level best to stay, because from 9:15 onwards, I have the admission meeting, because tomorrow our admission list is going to be published. So by 12, we have to clear all the things.
Okay, we will try to do as first as possible. And thank you, Rama Manna ma'am, that you joined us. And we will expect your valuable feedback, and that will be very much helpful for Zeba and Sudeshna. And thank you, Pritha, for joining this webinar.
Thank you, Debashree, for arranging this kind of program. Okay, so it is also my pleasure to be present in this program. Okay, I hope it will be a very successful program. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Pritha. Thank you, Pallavi, for your presence. So let's start with Zeba's presentation.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. My name is Zeba Bushra, and I've completed my graduation in psychology and master's in counseling psychology. Currently, I teach in a school. Then I'm a student of Rabindra Psychotherapy Research Institute Trust since 2021.
Great. Sir, please make me host so that I can share the presentation.
Okay, now Zeba is the host.
Yes, but actually Zeba sent her presentation to me
then it is a function of Zeba to make you host.
Okay. Zeba, you can present or you can make me host, whichever is easier for you.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, I've made you.
Okay, thank you. Is it visible? Is my screen visible?
Yes, screen is visible, but can it be full screen?
Is it coming?
It's not full screen, so if it is possible, then fine.
Actually, for me, it's showing its full screen. Okay.
There is, yeah, it is coming now. No, it is just you have increased. There is one point below. There is a full screen. Yes. Before that, next. Yes.
Yes, but is it showing the full screen? In my screen,
you have to select only one screen. After that, you have to place the full screen. So you can click at the child development. After that, you just full screen. Yeah, now it is clear.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay, sir. You start and you please keep saying me for next slide. Then I'll change. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, and my
Then
very
first,
yes, ma'am.
you mentioned that what are the topics you are presenting today?
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Okay. Today I'm presenting my presentation on the topics child development, professional ethics, and the life skill. So my very first presentation is on the topic child development. Ma'am, next slide. Okay. Child development refers to the sequence of physical, language, thought, and emotional changes that occur in a child from birth to the beginning of adulthood. During this process, a child progresses from dependency on their parents, guardians, to increasing independence. Child development is strongly influenced by genetic factors, that is, genes passed on from their parents, and events during prenatal life. It is also influenced by environmental facts and the child's learning capacity. Ma'am, next slide. Child development is related to various kinds of development, that is like physical development, social emotional development, sensory development, cognitive development, and communication development. Under physical development, we have gross motor and fine motor. Then under social emotional, we have interaction, cooperation, self-confidence, sense of community. Then under sensory development, we have sight, touch, smell, hearing, taste, vestibular, proprioception. Then fourth one is cognitive development, which is related to problem solving, abstract thinking, learning. Then the last one is related to communication, which is related to expressive, receptive, pragmatic language. Ma'am, next slide. Here we had what does childhood development include? So childhood development covers the full scope of skills that a child masters over their lifespan, including development in the following area, including cognition, that is the ability to learn and problem solve, then social interaction and emotional regulation, that is interacting with others and mastering self-control. Then third one is speech and language communicating, that is understanding and using language. Then reading. Then comes the physical skill, which is related to fine motor skills and gross motor skills. Then the last one is sensory awareness, which is related to the registration of sensory information for use. Ma'am, next slide. Here we have the importance of child development. Why is child development important? Observing and monitoring child development is an important tool to ensure that children meet their developmental milestone. Developmental milestone, a loose list of developmental skills that believed to be mastered at roughly the same time for all children, but that are far from exact. So developmental milestone is a kind of an act which is very much which acts as a useful guidance of ideal development. Ma'am, next slide. Next, the whole child development is related to the following development. For example, life skill, academic knowledge, student engagement, adult support, community, academically challenging learning, safe environments, health, social and emotional learning, spirituality, then values. Ma'am, next slide. The whole early childhood development comes in the following way. From 2 months, then 6 months, then 11 months, then 2 years, then 3 years, then 4 years, and 5 years. In the first 2 months, we have the following development, like the child smiles when you talk to or smile at her. Then during the 6th month, the child learns or reaches to grab a toy he wants. Then during 18 months, the child points to show you something interesting. Then in the next 2 years, the child tries to use switches, knobs, or buttons on a toy, or even kicks a ball. Then the next 3 years, the child learns the way of talking with you or have a conversation. Then, for example, using a fork. Then another 4 years, the child is able to learn how to unbutton some buttons and answer simple questions like what is the color of that object. Then next 5 years, the child is able to learn the following thing, like for example, hops on one foot, write some letters in her name. Ma'am, next slide. There are various problems which we can see in child development. Problems in child development can arise due to genetics, prenatal circumstances, the presence of a specific diagnosis or medical factors, or the lack of opportunity or exposure to helpful stimuli. Overcoming the developmental challenges is crucial to maximizing the ease and speed of development, minimizing the gap that occur between a child's ability and those of their same aged peers. The confidence of the child as well as the frustration that can be encountered by the child's parents or caregivers. Ma'am, next slide. Next, we have the different theories which is related to child development. By understanding the concepts of child development, school psychologists can provide necessary guidance and support in learning. In the process of child development, many aspects are involved, such as cognitive abilities, language acquisition, physical growth, socio-emotional development. So there are several studies on child development. Some of the major or important theories were formulated by Sigmund Freud. Jean Piaget contributed to developmental psychology. Ma'am, next slide. Sigmund Freud from the year 1856 to 1939. Freud proposed that personality development in childhood takes place during 5 psychosocial stages, which are the oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital stages. During each stage, sexual energy is expressed in different ways and through different parts of the body. These are called psychosexual stages because each stages represents the fixation of libido on a different area of the body. As a person grows physically, certain areas of their body become important as sources of potential frustration, pleasure, or both. Ma'am, next slide. Now, there are some psychosocial stages which is related to the theory formulated by Sigmund Freud. So the very first stage is oral stage, which starts from birth till 2 years, in which the infant achieves gratification through oral activities such as feeding, thumb sucking, etc. Then comes the next stage, which is called anal stage, which starts from the year 2 till 3 years. In this stage, the child learns to respond to some of the demands of the society, such as bowel and bladder control. The very third stage is phallic stage, which starts from 3 years till 7. The child learns to realize the differences between males and female and becomes aware of the sexuality. After that, next stage comes, that is latency, which starts from 7 years till 11. The child continues his or her development, but sexual urges are relatively quiet. The very last stage is, which is called genital, which start after the child reaches the age 11. In this stage, the growing adolescent shakes off old dependencies and learns to deal maturely with the opposite sex. Ma'am, next slide. We have another theory which is related to psychosocial developmental theory, which was formulated by Erikson. Erikson's 8-stage theory of psychosocial development plays an important role of growth and change throughout life, focusing on social interaction and conflicts that arise during different stages of development. His 8-stage theory of human development describes this process from infancy through death. In each stage, the child is faced with a developmental conflict that impacts later functioning and further growth. Erickson's psychosocial theory focuses on development across the entire lifespan. In this process of development, children and adults face a developmental crisis that serves as a major turning point. Ma'am, next slide. Next slide is related to different stages which is present under psychosocial development. So the various stages are, the very first stage is which comes during infancy period, that is trust versus mistrust. Then comes the next stage which comes during toddler age, that is autonomy versus shame and doubt. Then next is preschoolers, which is related to initiative versus guilt. Then grade schoolers, that is industry versus inferiority. Then next one is teenager. Teenager is related to identity versus role confusion. Next stage is young adult, which is related to intimacy versus isolation. Then comes the middle age adult, which is related to generativity versus stagnation. Then comes the older adult, which is related to integrity versus despair. Ma'am, next slide. So the next slide is related to psychosocial stages. The very first stage is infancy, and in infancy there comes trust versus mistrust. So in this stage, the children develops a sense of trust when caregivers provide reliability, care, and affection. A lack of this will lead to mistrust. Then comes the early childhood, which is autonomy versus shame and doubt. So in this age, the children need to develop a sense of personal control over physical skills and a sense of independence. Success leads to feeling of autonomy. Failure results in feeling of shame and doubt. Then next stage is preschool, that is initiative versus guilt. Under this stage, children needs to begin asserting control and power over the environment. Success in this state leads to sense of purpose. Children who try to exert too much power experience disapproval, resulting in a sense of guilt. Next comes school age, which is related to industry versus inferiority. In this state, children need to cope with new social and academic demands. Success leads to a sense of competence, while failure results in feeling of inferiority. Next comes the stage adolescence, identity versus role confusion. In this stage, teen needs to develop a sense of self and personal identity. Success leads to an ability to stay true to yourself, while failure leads to role confusion and a weak sense of self. Then comes young adult, intimacy versus isolation. Young adults need to form intimate, loving relationship with other people. Success leads to strong relationship, while failures results in loneliness and isolation. Next one is middle adulthood, generativity versus stagnation. Under this stage, adults need to create or nurture things that will outlast them, often by having children or creating a positive change that benefits other people. Success leads to feeling of usefulness and accomplishment, while failure results in shallow involvement in the world. Next, the last one is maturity, in which there is ego identity versus despair. In this age, older adults need to look back on life and feel a sense of fulfillment. Success at this state leads to a feeling of wisdom, while failure results in regret, bitterness, and despair. Ma'am, next slide. Another theory, which is formulated by Jean Piaget theory of cognitive development suggests that children move through 4 stages of learning. His theory focuses not only on understanding how children acquire knowledge, but also on understanding the nature of intelligence. So Piaget's stages are The very first stage is sensory motor stage, which starts from birth to 2 years. Next stage is pre-operational stage, which start from age 2 to 7 years. Then third one is concrete operational stage, which start from 7 to 11 years. Then the last one is formal operational stage, which starts from age 12 and up. Ma'am, next slide. Piaget believed that children take an active role in the learning process, acting much like little scientists as they perform experiments, make observations, learn about the world. As kids interact with the world around them, they continually add new knowledge, build upon existing knowledge, and adapt previously held ideas to accommodate new information. Ma'am, next slide. So we have the major characteristics which comes under these 4 stages. Under sensory motor stage, we have, in this stage, children learn about the world through their senses by touching, grasping, watching, tasting, smelling, listening. They learn that things continue to exist even though they cannot be seen. Next stage is pre-operational stage. In this stage, children develop memory, imagination, as well as abstract thought and language. They begin to use symbolic play and to understand the ideas of the past and future. Next one is concrete operational stage. Under this stage, children began to think logically about concrete events, understand abstract concepts such as height, weight, volume, as their thinking becomes less egocentric and they are more aware of the world around them. The very last stage is formal operational stage. That is, this is the thought to be final stage of cognitive development. Children are able to think abstractly, to solve and understand problems, and they begin to think more scientifically about society and the world as a whole. Ma'am, next slide. So here we have the conclusion. Child development is an important area of study as far as school psychologists are concerned. It is a separate branch of psychology that covers child psychology. The theories of child development explain how the child grow from one stage to another, mainly focusing on social, emotional, and cognitive growth. A child needs to grow on his or her own with the wishes and desire, but at the early years, parental care and support will enable the child to grow in the desired way. Ma'am, next slide. My very next presentation is on the topic professional ethics, school psychologists and their important ethical principles. Ma'am, next slide. So there we have some introduction which is related to professional ethics. All school counselors are governed by the American School Counselor Association Code of Ethics. Ethics are the custom, most standards, and accepted practice of a profession. Ethical codes are an attempt by the profession to standardize professional practice for the purpose of protecting students and school counselors as well. School counselors have a responsibility to know the codes and what constitute ethical practice for the reasonably competent professional. Ma'am, next slide. Ethics. The ethics of the profession help school counselors aspire to exceptional care, but the courts do not demand this level. Standard of care is the benchmark the courts use to determine the action of the reasonably competent professional school counselors. Ma'am, next slide. Here we have some basic principles which is related to professional ethics. So the very first principle is respecting the dignity and rights of all persons. Under this, we have autonomy and self-determination, privacy and confidentiality, fairness and justice. The next principle is professional competence and responsibility. Under this, we have competence, accepting responsibility for action, responsible assessment, intervention practices, responsible school-based record keeping, responsible use of materials. The third principle is honesty and integrity in professional relationship. Under this, we have accurate presentation of professional qualification, Forthright explanation of professional services, roles, and priorities, respecting other professionals, multiple relationships, and conflicts of interest.
Is it
Now,
forthright or forthright?
So forthright.
F-O-R-T-H or F-O-R-D?
So it is F-O-R-T.
Okay.
The last one is responsibility to schools, families, communities, the profession, and society. Under this, we have promoting healthy school, family, and community environments. Respect the law and the relationship of law and ethics. Maintaining public trust by self-monitoring and peer monitoring. Contributing to the profession by mentoring, teaching, and supervision. Contributing to the school. Ma'am, next slide. So here again, we have the basic principle which is related to ethics, that is autonomy. Under autonomy, we have independent, free, and self-directing, that is the state of
autonomy banane
self-determination.
AU habe. AUTONOM. Autonomy.
Yes, sir. Next one is non-maleficence, that is avoiding and preventing harm to all persons. The third one is beneficence, that is to provide benefit or advantage to all. The last one is justice, fairness, and equity to all. Ma'am, next slide. Here we have some ethical decision-making model, and there are some points which is related to decision-making model. Number one is identify the emotional reaction. Number two, examine the facts. Number three, review the relevant ethical guidelines. Number four, consider parental rights. Number five, consider the setting. Number six, consider the chronological and developmental levels. Number seven, identify the nature and dimensions of the problem. Number 8, consult. Number 9, consider possible and probable courses of action. Number 10, examine the good and bad consequences of various decisions. Number 11, implement your course of action. Here we have some points which is related to professional ethics, that is respect, competence, integrity, responsibility. Under respect, we have informed consent, right to withdraw, confidentiality, and privacy. Then comes the competence. Then integrity. Under integrity, we have deception. Then comes the responsibility. Under responsibility, we have protection of participants and debriefing. The Code of Professional Ethics of School Psychologists has been formulated by the National Association of School Psychologists and American Psychological Association. The Code of Ethics formulated by APA is common for all psychology professionals, whereas NASP Code of Professional Ethics is designed for school psychologists. There are 4 major principles published by APA which are in practice since the year 2002 for psychological professionals. Number 1 is respect and ensure the dignity of clients. Number 2, be responsible and nurturing. Number 3, maintain integrity in professional relationship. Number 4, social and community responsibility. The NASP ethical principles are: the NASP code focuses on protecting the well-being of the student, protect the rights and welfare of parents, teachers, and other consumers of school psychological services like trainers and interns in school, university teaching, and research. Next, we have the NASP practice model, which is related to the following points. That is consultation and collaboration, data-based decision-making, legal, ethical, and professional practice, research and evidence-based practice, equitable practices for diverse population, family, school, and community collaboration, services to promote safe and supportive schools, school-wide practices to promote learning, mental and behavioral health services, then academic interventions and supports. Now, next slide. Indian School Psychology Association. Indian School Psychology Association too adopts a code of professional ethics for school psychology services in India. Here we have some school psychology competencies. So we have some following points. Number one is ethical practice and professional development, organization and operations of schools, assessment, biological basis of behavior, counseling, consultation, intervention, student diversity in development and learning, science of psychology and education. Then emerging technology. So here we have some conclusion. Professional ethics are principles that govern the behavior of a person or group in a business environment. Like values, professional ethics provide rules on how a person should act towards other people and institutions in such an environment. It also helps to understand the characteristics of school psychologists to address and confront various behavioral issues, socio-emotional concerns, learning difficulties of a student. The training materials to conduct workshops for young school psychologists can be better understood by learning about professional ethics and school psychology services available in India. My third presentation is on the topic life skill. Introduction. Life skill can be defined as a set of personal skills and social features to perform efficiently individually and in a group. These skills are mostly useful to solve problems at all levels of personal, social, sexual, and self-development. Life skill as defined by the World Health Organization 2020 are the abilities for adaptive and positive behavior that enable individuals to deal effectively with the demands and challenges of everyday life. Now, next slide. So here we have some of the essential life skills. Number one is self-care. It creates awareness and consciousness about one's personal hygiene, health, and relationship. Then comes communication. It is an essential skill to focus on how to communicate with others. Then the third one is study skills. This includes work goals, employment, decision-making, and study skills. Next comes daily skills. It is another essential skill to maintain healthy lifestyle like monitoring nutrition intake, choosing a menu, cleanup, home safety, etc. Then comes social relationship. It is a skill that focuses on personal development, family adjustment, cultural awareness, and relationship. The last one is work life. Here the focus is on acquiring and nurturing necessary skills in order to exhibit personal growth in workplace. Now, next slide. So here we have some important life skills. Under life skill, we have self-awareness, coping up with emotion, that coping with stress, interpersonal relationship, effective communication, problem solving, decision making, creative thinking, critical thinking, empathy. Ma'am, next slide. So here we have some of the importance of life skills education. Life skill provide children with important tools for development, such as independent thinking, how to socialize and make new friends, how to take action in situations where their parents or teachers may not be around to help or intervene. Dealing with a bully or personal insecurities and fears. Examples of life skill includes self-reflection, critical thinking, problem solving, and interpersonal skills. Building life skill is essentially an exercise in helping children develop sound judgment and good habits for long-term stability, wellness, and success. Ma'am, next slide. So here we have some of the essential life skill to teach your children. Ma'am, next slide. Life skills education policies in India. The National Curriculum Framework 2005 has emphasized on constructive learning experiences and on the development of an inquiry-based approach, work-related knowledge, and broader life skill. The Central Board of Secondary Education in 2005 introduced life skill education as an integral part of the curriculum through continuous and comprehensive evaluation for classes 6 to 10. The new education policy 2020 provides a new pedagogical structure for school education. Ma'am, next slide. The effective life skill approach in school curricula should possess the following components. The very first one is program content, then mechanism, then the last one is teacher training. Current status of life skill education in India. Currently, Indian school education system is engaging life skill as a part of their curriculum and is imparting them at the secondary level of education. University department and other higher education institute mostly conduct awareness programs by training and conducting practice sessions on the following topics. The following topics are: number one, thinking skills, then study skills, then goal setting, time management, negotiation, public speaking, leadership, then teamwork. Here we have the conclusion. Life skills are essential to develop personal skills and social features to perform efficiently in a social setup. These skills are mostly useful to solve problems at all levels of personal, social, sexual, and self-development. Life skills enable the child to live a happy and successful life. Providing life skill education helps to build the foundation for learning skills of individual. A proper and relevant life skills education is needed for every youth to effectively adjust and participate in society. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Zeba. Sir, how should we go? Should we discuss about Zeba's presentation, then go to
ওটাই প্রেজেন্টেশনটা একটু মনে হয় ডিসকাস করার ব্যাপার আছে। প্রথম কথা হচ্ছে যে আমি কিছু পয়েন্ট লিখছিলাম। সোশ্যাল, মোরাল, পার্সোনালিটি, ইমোশনাল ডেভেলপমেন্ট এন্ড সেন্সরি ইন্টিগ্রেশন, এইভাবে যদিও করতো তবে এটা ভালো হতো। কারণ যেটা করেছে সেটা হচ্ছে যে she has given importance on the personality, but she has not given importance on the she has given importance on the personality and cognitive development, but not the social development, moral development, emotional development, and sensory integration.
Yes.
Social, moral, personality she covered by using the Freud theory, Erickson's theory, and psychosocial related only this, but that is not the social development. Another one is the moral development. That is missing, and specifically the Vygotsky's model, that is missing, and the emotional development, that is also vital. Sensory awareness, she has given importance, but it is better to use the sensory integration. Sensory integration is better than the sensory awareness. Okay. And when she is discussing about the development, I think initially she has to say something about what is development and what is the difference between growth and development. And regarding this, there is some spelling mistake in, for example, genital will be there instead of the genita. And that will be the fourth right instead of fourth right. So there are some spelling mistakes, maybe some typing mistake that may happen. So we'll think about it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your feedback. Ma'am.
Any other observation? Rama, Pita, Professor Dasgupta, any other observation?
Sir, I want to say something.
Yeah, sure.
That's it was a very good presentation, and to just read out each and every word written on the slide, that's really very strenuous for the presenter. So I'm not going into detail in the discussing about the contents. You have already pointed out, I mean the intricacies of the subject wise presentation. I would just like to draw your attention, Zeba, that while you are presenting for a long time, it's almost, I was counting, it's almost 20-25 minutes she has been presenting. Zeba, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So I mean, sometimes it happens that we are sitting on the other side of the table, but we can't reach to or we can empathize with the other side of the table. So I'd like to request you to just pay a bit attention on the presentation. Presentation should be very attractive to hold the audience for a long time, since it's a long presentation. So, and reading out each and every sentence, every word of your presentation is not enough. You could have jizzed down it. You could have summarized it and present it in your own style. That actually, yeah.
Yes, please continue.
So otherwise, the people who are watching your, presentation, PowerPoint, they can see whatever written is there, but actually presenters' personalities revealed, or presenters, the articulation that matters, so that people would listen to your presentation only whenever, and they may not be that attentive to others' presentation. So what is that, X factor? That should be the voice modulation, one thing, that the entire thing, you cannot read it out in the same pace, in the same voice. So voice modulation is needed. And I don't know whether I'm being much critical, but these are, please don't take it otherwise. These are all constructive, criticisms. If
Yes,
so you have to, put your much energy and enthusiasm. Ki, look, audience, I'm here saying something different. You have to pay attention to it. So voice modulation is also needed. And in professional ethics, the first slide, that was a word, I don't know, that should be, can you go back to the professional ethics, the first slide?
Okay, I'm showing it.
Sir has aptly pointed out that whenever you are presenting the presentation and you are reading out the every word of that presentation, then what happens, ki audience also is going with you. The audience is also reading out with you. If you summarize the thing, that maybe 1 or 2 sentences may be skipped, but in that case, if there is a spelling mistake, that actually creates some eye shading. There is a word modes. I think it would be modes. The second point.
Yes.
MORES, modes.
Is
it modes? Yeah, the slide visible, but Debusri ma'am, actually it's a minimized version actually. I had pointed it out, I pointed it down. That's why I'm saying the second one, second point. There is the word modes, MORES. এটা কি মোডসই হবে নাকি এটা মোডস হবে? আপনি তো প্রফেশনাল এথিক্স কে ইয়ে করছেন এখানে, তাই না? ডিফাইন করছেন তো?
হ্যাঁ, এমওডি মোড।
তো মোডস এন্ড মোডস এর মধ্যে কিন্তু একটা বিশাল ডিফারেন্স তৈরি হয়ে যায়, তাই না?
আচ্ছা, মোডস মানে হচ্ছে যে কাস্টম, কনভেনশন অফ এ সোসাইটি এন্ড দ্য কমিউনিটি, মোডস।
ওকে, না আমি ওটা
মেবি মোডস উইল বি অ্যাপ্লিকেবল হিয়ার।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, আমি জানতে চাইছিলাম, কারণ আমি তখন যেটা শুনেছি আমার মনে হচ্ছে আমি কি মোডস শুনলাম, ওখানে মোডস লেখা ছিল এরকম। ওকে 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 ওকে, দেন ইটস ফাইন। অ্যান্ড ওয়ান থিং, মানে এটা তো আপনি অনেক ভালো বলতে পারবেন, যে পেঁয়াজের স্পেলিংটা মানে প্রোনাউন্সিয়েশনটা
হবে, ওটা জি পেঁয়াজ, জিন পেঁয়াজ হবে না, এটা জা পেঁয়াজ।
হ্যাঁ, ওটা কিন্তু একটা মানে যদিও একটু খটোমটো প্রোনাউন্সিয়েশনটা। সো দিস আর দ্য সাম থিংস দ্যাট আই অবজার্ভড।
Another important part is it is the writing training manual. Okay,
yes,
so
yes,
you always think about it.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Actually, even while I was listening to her presentation, I was also writing down some points from my end. that in our discussion of last 4 days, Zeba, you may remember that we discussed about that we should keep our audience in mind, that for whom we are presenting, right, Zeba?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but your presentation was very general. As you
It is not the activity based. Dipasri, that is our project, that it will be the activity based training manual, but it is not the activity based.
Yes, it was not activity based.
It was more on a content presentation.
It is a content presentation, correct, but it is not the activity based, but it is our target. That is, we will write the training manual that will be the activity based. So our objective that is deviated.
Yes. And in your presentation, Zeba, there was very less involvement of audience. It was only you. You were reading out the slides, as ma'am said, that word by word you were reading. And even you have no idea whether we are paying attention or not, right? Do you know whether I was listening to you or not, Zeba?
No, ma'am.
No idea. So there was no control over your audience through your presentation. So that was a big problem. I'm not going about the topic. You have covered details, many details of the topic. I have no question
Yes,
about
yes, more
that.
than enough. And it was a very minute
very elaborate
presentation.
Presentation it was. But even I was thinking about the presentation technique. So it could have been, maybe you could have joined these 3 topics to make it more interesting, how these topics are interrelated or like that, so that we could be interested that, okay, let's see what she wants to say and like that. But it was like more chapter by chapter you were just presenting us. And
so Dipasri, what I feel, that is Zeba has covered the contents, okay? Now we have to write them in some activity-based way. So she has presented the contents. So contents fine, but some content should be added. For example, the social development, emotional development, moral development. So those things are very important. There is some attachment theory of Bowlby's attachment theory, Vygotskit's model. So these things are very important. She has missed all of them. So I think in near future, she will cover.
Definitely.
Okay, that is the important part. That is the development. And specifically, what is development? And why do we study the child development? Why do we study the child development? And it is the part of our new education policy. So new education policy has given special emphasis on the early childhood education. Okay, and specifically new education policy has given importance on learning the child development by all the teachers. All the teachers, all the professors, they should know what is child development. They should know. That is the vital part. So for that reason, we have to understand the development, this child development issue. So that should be given special emphasis, okay? So that the students will be very much interested, okay, since it is there, we have to study. All the teachers will be interested. So early childhood education, that is the thrust area of Government of India in the new education policy. So you can think about it, Dipasri. So this is my suggestion to you.
Yes.
Now you organize it properly.
Yes, yes. And for Zeba, one more suggestion I can give you, that while you were presenting, you could have used some examples. While you were saying the theories and like even professional ethics and all this, through some stories or some example or some showing some recent event, you can explain it. Then it could have been more interactive.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Zeba, have you noted down all the points shared by our mentors?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Rama ma'am, Pritha, Pallavi, any question or any suggestion, any feedback?
No, from my side, congratulations to Zeba. She has given much effort. I think it is her first presentation, maybe.
Yes.
So she has tried from her best. Okay. So as sir mentioned, social development and moral development is very much important in child development issue. So that part should be added in content, but it should be directed to activity based. And inclusive education is the in the current situation, inclusive education, I think few highlight might be there on inclusive education, as has shared about all teachers and persons involved in teaching education environment. They should know about the child development. That is the important aspect of inclusive education. Okay, so I think this area could have been given little highlights there.
Okay. Actually, inclusive education is a total big topic.
Yes,
We'll have a presentation.
Okay.
So that's why maybe Zeba have not mentioned about it.
Okay.
But thank you, ma'am, for your time. So, sir, can we move to Sudeshna's presentation? Yes, Pallavi, please. You want to say something? Yes, it was definitely good. I'm not saying Zeba's presentation was not good, but these are the
it's a
scope of
very nice
improvement she
presentation.
has.
She has covered good, because the contents are there. Maybe the delivery style, she will learn gradually. It takes time. But she will learn gradually. That's not the issue. Issue is the content, whether contents are there or not. Sufficient contents are there, but some contents will be added. That's all. This is good. So now we can call the request Sudeshna.
Okay. And Zeba, don't be sad. It was good. We are just giving you tips to improve your presentation skill more and relevant to our topic. But it was a very good presentation.
No, please. Then most probably I have been very much critical for this. All of these issues are have emerged. Zeba, you have done excellent job. And what Dibusri madam has introduced us, that the mentors duty, mentors job is very it's a sandwiched job. If we don't point out the the rooms for improvement, then he will afterwards he will feel sad ki my mentors didn't mention all these things. And if we mention and if there is nothing to be said, all these we should take it where not personally but professionally, I think, because whatever we are saying for your further improvement.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Okay, now I'll introduce Sudeshna. Sudeshna, you're here now?
Yes, ma'am.
And thank you, Pritha. Thank you for your message. She wrote that she has learned a lot from her presentation. Really, it was very informative. Thank you, Pritha. Okay. So, Sudeshna, first, please give your small introduction about your studies and your activity. Then we will start the presentation.
Okay, ma'am. Good evening, all my respected teachers presenting presence here. I'm Sudeshna Chandra. I have done my graduation in psychology, and then I have done masters in industrial psychology and organizational behavior. And after that, I have done MBA in HR, and then I was a HR executive in Bandhan Bank, and then now I'm working in a school, and now I am pursuing my course of school psychology training activity based module in Ravindran Psychotherapy Research Institute Trust. So today I'm going to present or concept of school psychology topics, and ma'am, please share the screens.
Is it coming?
So make it full, huh? Like give us. Make it full. In the title side, you always present Ravindran Psychotherapy Research Institute Trust. Okay, the name is not there, logo is not there. You should show Debashree, please you add all of them.
Okay, sir. From next time, I will take care of it.
And the presenter's name, your name, all the things should be there.
Is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
In full screen mode, na? So,
Yeah, it is okay. It is okay.
Sudeshna, please start.
Okay, ma'am. Firstly, we should know what is psychology. So psychology, we can say in one sentence, that is, it's a scientific study of behavior in different situation. So this is a short definition and easy definition to understand. And psychology has various kind of field, like school psychology, what we are studying here, then industrial psychology, counseling psychology, and so on. So today, as we are talking about the school psychology, so there is a small definition, like it's a field of study of professional practice focusing on the educational and psychological needs of children, youth, and the families. So now here, the name implies children with whom we are working. But here, the educators, the mentors, they are also need some training through which our objectives, our goal can be fulfilled, and our audience, the child, the children, we can enhance them with our knowledge and skills. So coming to the child development, it refers to the biological, psychological, and emotional changes that occur in human being from birth to the end of adolescence, then through adulthood, as the individual progresses from dependency to autonomy. So in child development, we should know there is some ages and stages which we can divide, that is infant, 0 to 12 months, that is 1 year old, then coming toddlers, 1 year to 3 years, then coming the childhood, 3 to 12 years, when they are coming to the primary schools or the kindergartens, and then coming the adolescence. So this childhood and adolescence periods is a vital period, because their personality, their behavior as a person, they are growing throughout the school sector. So this is very much important to identify this time, to make them a good human being, a proper human being in this situation. And the teachers, the mentors, this side, they should be very much trained to make their clients, the children, more efficient, more effective, and more good human being with self-motivation, self-awareness, and that all. Ma'am, next slide. Ma'am.
This is your next slide, areas of development.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Now coming to the areas of development, there are certain areas through which a child grows and develop with the environment. So first we can discuss the physical development. Physical development is refers to the bodily development, bodily changes. A, a child can start from the conception to the adulthood, or to the date. We have some physical development like our sensory motor movement, sensory movement, our reflex action, our height growth, etc. So that's come to the physical development, deals with the gravity kind of. Then coming to the mental and emotional development, which a child grow through some feeling, some expression from the birth, when he or she is infant or coming to the next level of adulthood or the childhood, whatever. The emotional expression they are receiving and they are giving to the environment, to their parents, or the with the mentors they are meeting in the schools or the kindergartens. So through that, the mental and emotional development occurs. Then coming to the social development, which is very much important, and they can understand it after a certain time of age. They can understand, they can learn what is the ethics, what is value, what we should have to maintain in certain situation, in certain places. So social development also to get to know about the society, about the peers, and other person behavior towards them, and their behavior towards the other person, what should be that. So through this the social development can happen in a child. Then coming to the moral and ethical development, it's about some standard which is maintained by our society, which our child actually learn from basically to their parents, that this should be done, this should not be done, this is wrong, this is right, and what we should do in this situation, these places. So that is the moral and ethical development, which need to be done, need to be learned as well, very carefully in the preliminary ages. So that on this the learning, actually a child's coming years, coming next movements also depends on this moral and ethical development. Next, coming to the linguistic and cognitive development, which comes linguistic development, actually the language development, that is a child can go through with some semantic, we know they start with the crying, then some words, then babbling, etc. They started to develop, and finally they coming through the communication. Firstly they comes to the non-verbal communication with the gesture and posture, they try to understand, make understanding us, and then they coming to the verbal communication. And when it attaches with the cognitive part, then they understand I mean they start to make sense that what we are saying, we have some cognitive thinking within that we have some ideas, we have some intellectual part through which we are talking logical to our school or our parents, that this with these stages linguistic and cognitive development occurs. So here are the areas of development. Ma'am, next slide. The second topic, that is the inclusive education. So in inclusive education, it refers that every child has the right to get quality education and learning. So after child development, we come into this topic. So it is a new approach toward the educating the children with disability and learning difficulties with that of normal ones within the same roof. So after we know the child development, we should know that every child has the right to get proper education and learning from our society. It may be the the children with disability, it may be the minority children, it may be the poor socio-economic children, it can be various kind of children that they are our audience, but they should get the quality education, same education, and within the same roof with same techniques, same tools, and same guidance and the caring as well. So the aims and objectives of inclusive education, that is education for all. If each and every people should be educated in our world. Next, coming to the identification of skills and development for rights. They have the right to get skilled and developing their study, they're developing their personality, everything. Next, coming to the preparing new challenges. When they are get to educated in all the part, they faces new challenges, and they learn what to do with that challenge and how to overcome that challenges. Next, coming to the development of the social consciousness. So when they are getting education, all the background backdate I mean the backward children from the poor family, or they have certain problems, they are coming to in the education, they face the society, they learn, and then they develop their social consciousness with the self motivation. And if one child can get the better education from a poor family, or that in next days he or she can motivate or can give the knowledge to the others, and this with this way we can educated our world, our nation. Next, coming to the to improve the quality of education, always we should have to think that how every child can get the same learning, same knowledge with the same effectiveness, because in the previous days we have only that lecture method and class based, that one is telling and another is listening and learning. But in new skills we are using flipped classroom, online teaching with very much activities like any kind of game theory, or any kind of presentation, project based learning, etc., so that every child can get that motivation, can enjoy their learning, that we are learning something, we are gaining knowledge, not like that okay we are doing this study to get only the numbers. So to improve the quality of education is very important for the children's future, and as well as our this is our one of kind of course of the teachers, they should get very much updated, and they should have to think that how to engage the children in improving the education. So ma'am, next slide. Okay, so there are some principle of inclusive education, and there are some importance why it is important. So in some principle, there should not be any kind of discrimination with the students. Like if a teacher think that okay, this student came from a rich family, and this student came from a poor background, he or she could not buy some books or something, because we every day in our poor country we have to face that okay they are not eligible enough to get their book to buy. So in that situation we have to help them more with which we can through the notes and through any kind of the materials, so that they can reach that area. So there should not be create any discrimination with the students from our side, from the teacher side, from the mentor side. Next, coming to the school adopt the need of the student. School, any school, in any school environment, they should understand that the need of the student, that we have certain engagement in our schools, like we provide meals sometimes to the students, the needy students. So we have to understand that their first priority is the food, and then they will be more happy with their learning. So with giving some materials like bags or the shoes, it motivates them to that okay, we have to go to the school, or we have to learn something new, or we have to attend this class. And then that's why the school management also try to understand that what is the need of the student, and as well as their family background, I mean, to a meeting, a parent teachers meeting also be done because of that, to improve the school, to improve the students basic education. Next, coming to the equal education opportunity and benefits for all. So as I discussed previously, that there should be equal tools and techniques for the every children. With the disabled student, we have to make them reach that position which they can compare with the normal children. So that we have to give much more effort and equal things to give them support, that okay, you are doing well, and we are supporting you, we are giving you much more time, etc. And also the benefits, they get the same. Next, students views are need to listened and taken seriously. Sometimes it happens that in this year, in as we are all the student of psychology, we know that these stages, these development ages, they are facing so much of problem. They have some emotional unboundness, they have some things, that peer problems, friend problems, and they are not liking to get the not liking to learn, not liking to do the study. So for to motivate them, to make them learning, to help them, we have to understand, we have to listen the student problem carefully. Sometimes it's not possible in the huge classroom that everyone's problem, what is the problem, we cannot discuss it. But when we are facing that okay, it is going beyond something, it's going problematic, then always as a teacher, as a mentor, we have to focus that student particularly, that what problems they are facing about. So listening is very, very important for that students. Next, coming to the inclusive education, why it is important. So learning, it all grows with the self actualization of ours. If we are connecting with the Rabindric psychotherapy, we can compare with the, or we can attach with the layer of Saraswat, which actually refers to the self actualization of own. So after education, after knowledge, we can get that self respect in the society, we can do for our society, we can improve our society as well. Next, coming to the enable children to stay with their families. So it is also important that through this inclusive education, they will learn that okay, family is also important, I have to support my family in various situation. As they are supporting me when I am child, then I have to give it return back. Then coming to the developing healthy citizenship and social equality. So from one children to thousand and thousand children, when they are going to some area, they are reaching to that particular thing with the education, with the learning, with some goal with their life, and they are achieving that. After that, they actually creating a good society for us, where we will be very much safe with healthy citizenship and equality. Ma'am, next slide. So there is some process of inclusive education, that is, we have to first raise the awareness, and through some banners, some programs in school programs, or some activity like rally or something, we can raise the awareness that every children should go to the school to get the basic education, and further they have to move, they have to right to educate, they have the right to get the education. And coming to next, that is parent support. So every child should get the education. These basic things the parents should get to know, that okay, my children should get to has the right to get that education, and he or she would be literate. So that is the main thing first of all. And then coming to the okay, that in various situation we have to found in our state that the female students, actually our girl students, they after class 9 or class 10 they are getting married. So we have to raise the awareness to the parents that this is not her future. She has to learn, she has to within the study, then only if he can establish in her life, and then he can support his parents. Which support is needed from her parents now. Okay, so that is, a marriage is not the only solution they are thinking about. So this awareness raised is very much important, and within some activities only we can do that. Sometimes we do some parent teachers meeting, and within that we used to do some presentation about the inclusive education, that okay, you people should come to the school, you have to tell what problem you are coming through, and why you are not sending your children to our school, and why your girl getting married so fast. So we always try to motivate the parents, then as well as the children also. So these also the policies we are following. I have already discussed within that. Next, coming to the teacher training. So this point is very much important in case of inclusive education, because teacher and mentor is the main guide after the parents or the guardian. So we when we go to the school, after father and mother, after our parents, we first meet with our teacher. So one good teacher or the good teachers always they remains in our memory throughout our life. Okay, and with those we start I mean, for example, sometimes we used to identify that okay, these teacher subject are favorite in our school, and she or he become the role model for us. So the teacher's role is very very important in a child life, and the training as well as very much important for the teacher. So when a teacher is teaching, we are now going to first forward so the teachers are like to make the education so lively. And after lockdown we have come to see that the previous method, now the teacher, now the mentors, they are trying to more encouraging, more flexible, and more enriching teaching they're giving to their children, so that the children after lockdown, after a certain time, they are not like to study, they are they are going to another way. But from that situation to taking their back into the way of of a learning, of the gaining knowledge, the teachers training is very very important to identify how to motivate the children, how to return back them into the way of the study, and keep them retaining them, so that they could not left the study. So this is very very much important, and on this situation we have to need our activities, our manuals, our training, so that we can return that. And with this the special technique we needed, like well, we can create some quiz, we can make some questionnaire method, small exam we can take, so various techniques with tools we. Ma'am, next slide. In inclusive education education, Indian government took some some acts. CWSN children, they have done Shamagra Shiksha DC, launched in December 1974. They launched the District Primary Education Program 1994, the National is it audible?
Now you're audible.
Okay, ma'am. So Indian government in inclusive education, they have launched various schemes in CWSN children with special needs, Shamagra Shiksha Abhijan, then the Integrated Education for Disabled Children scheme, that is IEDC, then District Primary Education 1994, National Policy on Education 1986, Project Integrated Education, Persons with Disability Act came in 1995, Rehabilitation Council Act, that is 1992, made an historic collaboration with the National Council and Children and Youth with the Disabilities, March 2005. So Indian government continuously making some acts and some programs so that inclusive education can be more effective within the children, and they are trying to the child to take back in the study so that they get the basic literacy, and they can achieve their goal in their life. Ma'am, next slide. But inclusive education, there are some barriers. Every work, there are some barriers or wall. So here the barriers are like negative approach. So in from various when we are going to do some work, there are some barriers come from different levels, like school management, like others others areas of the schools. They have sometimes the approach that, okay, we are not willing to do this kind of rally, we are not in the, I mean, agree with some training you are giving. So we face so much of problem to happen some new things in some areas, in some so there are some negative approach. The next is lack of funds and physical facilities. So it's a daily basis, we know that always we have lack of funds or something. We are thinking that, okay, we can do this, we can do that, but we don't have the money enough to make some things. So we have to manage within those funds, and also we sometimes we have not that the things we physically present with us, like lab things or the projector. We have nothing, so that we cannot apply those kind of tools. Next, coming to the lack of trained teachers. So sometimes there are lacking with these trained teachers, because the post are maybe the blank, or the person who is the mentoring, maybe she or he is a little bit following the lecture method, not using that much enough activity based learning. So there are some barriers. Another is inappropriate curriculum. Sometimes there are all are not ready with appropriate curriculum, that how to make the all the thing happen rightly. So there are some barriers, but in that cases there are some supportive services as well. So those are like support services can be given from the teachers as well, from the trained teachers, from the special teachers for the disabled students, and from the community, and also from the parents, as we discussed. Next, if some cases in we can consult with the psychologist, concerned psychologist, when we need that. Then coming to the physician and therapist, and also guidance and counseling is play a big role part on the school psychology as well. Ma'am, next slide. So my next topic, that is the concept of counseling. So what is counseling? Contrary to what many people think, that the role of a counseling is only to giving advice. So it's not the role of a counselor, it's to give advice only. Instead, they help you to develop new strategies for dealing with the situation, and by getting to know you, developing an understanding of your circumstances with active listening, and by offering support and insight. So there are some basic counseling skill which in schools also should know to handle a child or handle their children. So the counselor must have some qualities, like he or she must be a good active listener, non-judgmental and trustworthy, attentive, accepting the client feelings, and tendency to ask question, so that the client can develop his or her thinking, feel safe and respected to convey any kind of feeling they are feeling the care, and feel that she or he is not being judged. They can feel comfortable, get the best help possible, and they can think, and they should get that empathy as well. So our adolescents children, that they are facing some kind of emotional problem, that they are going on a wrong path. In that situation, firstly, after sometimes parents can notice, sometimes they miss out of that, because these children are very much, I mean, they are not much talkative or not sharing. So in that cases, the teachers, the mentors, every day dealing with them, and they identify that okay, this particular child or those child, they are facing some kind of problem. So a teacher and mentor also have should have this basic skills, counseling skills, that this child is getting problems with anything. So actively listening to her or him, and understanding that what kind of problem they are getting. So with a best possible solution, study to his proper life, it's very much important to us, because our teachers, our mentors always help us. Sometimes we are not able to speak to our parents or our family, but our favorite teacher or favorite mentors, we go to them and we discuss with them so many things, and their motivational speech and their real experiences very very important to us, because from that we gain so much knowledge, and we recover from any kind of emotional problem, and we try to heal ourselves. So this counseling, basic counseling skills also have very much important. Ma'am, next slide. Ma'am. Okay. So there is a situation that when we can identify that the child or the adolescent children in the school may need the counseling. So those we can identify from that, because all teachers are not from the psychology background. So there are some situation with that they can identify, though those are some behavioral problem, behavior in the student, disobeying, any kind of academic deterioration, neglecting the personal hygiene, or harming his peers or his friends or any kind of animal, seeming that last 2 weeks that we know that they are maybe in depression, or they are not sharing anything. They are not talkative. A child from talkative to comes into a not sharing any kind of word. So they're coming to the sudden change in performance, school performance or attendance, any kind of illegal activities, or he or she not taking properly his or her tiffin, or not playing with the friends, running away from the home, using tobacco or drugs or alcohol, which we also can find. Recently we have certainly we faced some problem that our class 10 and 9 students are using drugs in the bathroom. So we teachers, we found out, and then we motivate them, tell them, we make them understand that this is not the right thing you are doing in the school premises and all that. And the another thing which is very much important, that is in this adolescence period, we they should know what is the proper the behavior with the the sexual behavior they should follow, or they should know that what is the what can be behave with others, or in a quid school, they should be, they should respect each other and all that thing. We that certain syllabus with that, and we have to maintain this. We have to make them learn, make them this have a certain things as well. So ma'am, next slide. Ma'am. So there are some basic counseling skills for the teachers to for a preliminary basic time before going to the counselor. There should be some steps should be followed for the preliminary stages that can mentor or the teachers do for immediately, and then they refer to the any kind of counselor or the psychologist if that beyond the goes beyond the limit. So that is the first point, is to observe the identify to observe and identify problem area, that may be the emotional, behavioral, academic deterioration properly. And through some days of identification, they can only observe that okay, this child has a problem with some areas, and then to provide initial support to them initially in the school, try to make them understand, motivate, try to help them. And then if there is the possible way that child is going right, then okay. If not going, then they have to refer further for the intervention to the psychotherapist or the counselor, or for counseling with the concern of their parents. Ma'am.
Yeah. Is it showing
Hello.
next slide?
Ma'am, okay. Thank you. So thank you all for giving me this opportunity to present the concept of school psychology. I hope you all enjoyed and it was not boring. Thank you, my respected teachers.
Thank you, Sudeshna. It was a nice presentation. Sir, your feedback on her presentation.
Sudeshna, your presentation is nice. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The voice modulation and other things what Professor Dalgupta has suggested to Jeva. Okay. So that is, everything is there. But what is missing, that is the psychology part is missing. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So when you present this thing, the psychology community cannot understand. Psychology community think that is, it is a motivational speech. What the usually human relations specialists are doing. So it is just like that, but the psychology community may not accept it. So what is important, you have to convince the psychology community. Okay. So how you can convince? If you follow the JEBA's model, in case of the JEBA has given some of the psychologists' name. Okay.
Okay.
And they are basically the models. You have covered everything very nicely. But it is just motivational speech. But very nicely motivational speech, undoubtedly. But the psychology community may not accept it. So how psychology community will accept? If you show some experimental approach, okay, and if you highlight the theories, and then psychology community will accept. Otherwise, because in your presentation, I do not find any psychological theories and other things. But very nicely you have covered.
Okay,
so
sir.
this is
Next
my
time I
observation.
will include. Okay, sir.
Ma'am, Duparna ma'am.
Whatever sir has suggested is mine also.
Her
Nothing
topic
to add.
was Rama ma'am is not in meeting. Anyone else? Pallavi, Pritha, any feedback from your end?
Sudeshna, your background is psychology, right?
Yes, sir. That's why I have not put in any kind of theory, because in the presentation we actually learn theories and theories and theories. But the next time I will include the theories.
No, at least you have to mention some of the.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. With the
psychologists'
connection,
name.
I have to. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
understand.
otherwise, the
Okay, sir.
psychology community will not accept very easily, because it is just motivational speech, but very nicely motivational speech.
Okay,
I appreciate motivational speech. That is nice.
Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
So when we
Okay, so
find
next time I will
the
include
YouTube, some of the monks, some of the leaders, they are giving the motivational speech. It is like that, very nicely, very nicely. But only thing that is some psychologists, because they have contributed many things. Okay, for example, Jean Piaget, he did experiment, okay, and then finally he proved it. So when you are talking about the psychology, it is a science. Okay, it is not mere the assumptions. It is a science. So what is important, that is you have to present in such a manner so that the psychology community can accept it. But very nicely you have covered.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Sudeshna, while I was listening to your presentation, it was nice. It was very good. And you have also covered some aspect of your topic, which is nice. But I think, as I had mentioned, that the psychology component was very less. At the same time, I think you should also work on some understanding of the topic, like in inclusive education. In the first slide, actually, you have mentioned one thing. Let me go back to that.
For example, I cannot understand why you are giving much importance on inclusive education. Inclusive education undoubtedly is important. That is for the social personality development, that you can relate. But you have moved to the inclusive education and you are giving much time on the inclusive education, rather than you are moving away from the child development. And there are different methods for assessing the child development. And as it is the role of the school psychologist, the school psychologist's role is to collect the data. Analyze the data, interpret the data, and based upon that, the school psychologist can provide the counseling. Okay, so it is basically the data-based For that reason, Government of India is giving importance on the school psychologist, because the school psychologist is giving importance on the data, but which is lacking in case of the school counselor. School counselor, they are giving, suggesting several things, but without any data. So data is a simple, the qualitative data. But the school psychologist administer the questionnaire. For example, one is not interested to study, but why not study? You will get a lot of the information from the parents, from the child, but that is not the actual thing. So you have to study the reading and writing motivation. You have to administer the reading and writing motivation scale to the child. Okay, and then based upon that scale, then you can think about, that is, what components are missing and what components are facilitating. For example, the child is very much interested to study for the extrinsic motivation. Okay, to get the recognition, to be loved by others, okay, or to avoid the punishment, etc. So that is the extrinsic motivating factor. Therefore, the child's performance in examination is repeatedly poor. So what is important, that is, you have to study and you have to design your counseling in such a manner so that the child will be motivated to the intrinsic motivating factor. So how? Without administration of the psychological test? Is it possible? No. Because based upon the simple observation or just collecting some of the data through the qualitative interview with the parents or with the neighbors or whatever the things are there. But that is not the, because two things are important. Always you think, we are the psychologists, okay? We are thinking about the manifested content and the latent content. So manifested content means what the people are saying. But if you are trying to solve the problem through the manifested content, you cannot solve the actual problem. Because the latent content is there. You have to satisfy the latent content. If you can satisfy the latent content, then you will be able to satisfy the child need or person's need. So these things are very, very important. Okay. So gradually you will know. So Rabindranath Tagore has said, "Chokher aloye dekhechilen chokher bahire. Antore aaj dekhbo jokhon alok nahire." Antore aaj dekhbo jokhon alok nahire, that is your latent content. Ar chokher aloye dekhechilam chokher bahire, that is your manifested content. Understand?
Yes, sir.
But you have nicely related the Ravindic psychotherapy in your presentation. Thank you. But keep in mind that is self-actualization is not the Saraswat layer.
Okay, sir.
Saraswat layer means total harmony.
Okay, sir.
You, me, and your surroundings, same. There is no discrimination, no difference. Okay. But in case of the self-actualization, what Maslow has suggested, that is what individual actually needs. The individual has received all of them. So that is the self-actualization. But whether this self-actualization is the harmony is the Saraswat layer. And when you will be able to harmonize, then you can create the new thing. You can innovate the new thing, okay? So that is possible when harmony is there. Okay, so this is my experience, my observation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I want to say one thing, that in your inclusive education portion, in opening slide, you write that inclusive education is a new approach towards educating the children with disability and learning difficulties with that of normal ones within the same roof. Here the word normal ones, I think you should not use such word, because when we are saying someone normal, we are judging another one abnormal kind of thing. So every child is normal, everyone is equal. It's about the attitude of the subject. That's why I'm using, to avoid such words. When we are saying the disability and learning difficulties with other children, you mentioned, there is no problem, but you should not use this kind of words in some presentation or some platform. Okay.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
And inclusive education is not only for disabled children and children with learning difficulties. As you also mentioned that the girl children, children from socioeconomically backward family, and many other marginalized community, children from those community are also forced to come within the mainstream education system. That's the approach of inclusive education. So it's not only limited to with the concept of disability. That's why it's better if you refer some established definition. What is inclusive education? In your discussion, if you're using your own words, that's very good. But in opening statement, or when you are explaining what is it, it's better to refer some established definition. Okay. This
Okay,
is
ma'am.
just one suggestion. Okay. And
IGNOU has the standard course on inclusive education. Please you study it. IGNOU is giving the importance on inclusive education. Okay. Rabindranath Tagore, he himself has given importance on the inclusive education in Chandalika. So there are many things are there. Please you think about it. But very nicely you have covered. That is true. Very nicely. Thank you.
Actually,
Thank you,
both
sir.
Zeba and Shudeshna, they both presented very well.
Yeah.
And everyone has their unique strength and unique qualities that is reflected because child development was the common topic for both of them. They both present the same topic, but both of their presentation was totally different, and their choice of topic, mode of presentation, strategy of presentation was different. So in our next class, we will try to learn more about the importance of including activities within the presentation or training, and that will lead us to writing activity-based training manual. Okay, so both of you, please keep this presentation with you. We will work on this together. Okay, and we will definitely improve this presentation. Actually, there are a lot of scope of improvement of any presentation or any document. As on very first day, we have discussed that when we are talking about training manual, it's a living document. It will keep changing and keep modifying on basis of feedback we are getting after training or getting after presentation and everything. So these presentations will definitely grow with feedback from today's panel and our effort. Okay.
So here I like to say that is Pallavi Biswas.
Yes,
she has written, thank you for sharing a lot of knowledge. It was very informative presentation. Thank you so much. So thank you, Pallavi. Preetha has written, I learned a lot from her presentation. It was a good one. All the changes are for her own good. Thank you, Preetha.
And it's Very
So
nice that everyone gave so much time to our students for their improvement. So thank you all.
And thank you, Professor Boshak Dasgupta, madam. You have given a lot of the inputs to our student for their development of
Thank
the
you, madam.
different skills. So now I am requesting all of you, please close your hands. Okay, Pallavi Bishas, she has written again something.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir, ma'am. Okay, thank you. So I am requesting all of you, please close your hands for the prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Deepasri. Thank you, Jeba.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sudeshna. Very nice presentation you all have covered. And thank you, Professor Dasgupta, Pallavi, Preetha. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Good
আমি
night.
তাহলে লিভ করছি।
Hi, madam. Thank you.